So here as of late, I've been talking a lot about journaling on the channel, but I've not always really gone into the reasons that I do journal. And I'm not one of those types of people that, I don't keep up with habit tracking. I just kind of do it as best I can. I don't write in a diary and record my day-to-day life. I kind of just use the journal when I need to. And one of the biggest things that got me into journaling in the first place was anxiety. So I wanted to talk about some of the different things that I track and use the journal for to help me alleviate high periods of stress and anxiety, and even do a little bit of preventative care so I don't experience that so much when times get tougher. And I do want to preface everything by saying that I'm not licensed by any means. I'm just somebody that has gone through the motions and the waves. I currently am. So I feel like there's a lot of things I'm going to be able to say that are going to resonate well with other people and just make a lot of sense. So I'm going to start with the number one reason that I like to journal, especially when I talk about stress and anxiety, and it's just to get my thoughts onto paper. So if you are somebody that experiences lots of intrusive thoughts and just you can't cut it off, getting it onto paper is huge for me because I can take it out of my mind and stick it somewhere else. And it might not be like a permanent fix, but at least it helps in the moment. And the other thing I love about it is I'm the type of person where I feel like I bother people by just talking about my problems all the time, because then people start thinking, well, Chad only has his problems, that's all he thinks about because that's all he talks about, but that's not the case. It's just that it helps me to talk and get that out. So what I do now is try my hardest to get my thoughts onto paper, or at least save some of those conversations more for talk therapy, and try not to bring those up too much around my friends, my family, and my wife, so I just don't bring them down. The second thing I like to do is to track and reassure myself. So one of the types of anxiety that I struggled with the most was health anxiety. There was lots of different physical symptoms happening to me over the course of the past 4 years. You name the types of symptoms and the thoughts going through my head at what they actually were, I've probably had them, and maybe you've been there too. But one thing that really helped my health anxiety was writing down those physical sensations, those physical symptoms, when they were happening, what I was thinking in that moment, and just kind of tracking those things. And then over time, what I noticed was different trends or different things that were happening to cause those. And then eventually it just kind of clicked with me that, maybe this stuff isn't actually happening at all. And I knew that. Logically speaking, I knew all along that it was all just kind of in my head, and my head was manifesting these physical symptoms. But knowing something and believing something are two totally different things, and until I actually believed it, did it actually matter? So tracking those things and providing myself that reassurance was huge. Another great thing I like about journaling is it's a great way to calm myself down. So if I'm in a moment of high stress, I'm on high alert, and I just want to scream at somebody or shake something, what I can do is just take out a journal. Usually this is my pocket journal, and I just start writing every thought, every word and adjective that is coming through my mind. It gets onto that sheet of paper. So if somebody ever sees some of that stuff, they're gonna be like, this guy is the craziest person on the planet, or they're gonna be like, I relate, you're a spirit animal and I can vibe with that, because I just basically have no filter and it all makes it onto paper. So, when I used to work in the restaurant industry, we had those walk-in closets. You could go in there and basically do the same thing out loud and nobody would hear you. But I work in an office now at a visitor center, and the last thing visitors need to hear is this marketing guy upstairs screaming at the top of his lungs using probably some not so family-friendly wording, but instead I could put that on a piece of paper for myself for later. And then when you're done with it, you can rip that up, you can burn it, you can throw it in the trash, or you can just leave it. It doesn't matter. It's your journal. You just got to make it your own. And the last two, I'm actually going to kind of combine together and use them a little bit interchangeably, but one is strategize and the other is question and answer. So what I'll do is write down a question like, why am I thinking this way? What is making me feel this way? Is this like the last time? How is this different this time than the last time? Whatever the questions are that I have. And sometimes you're asking yourself this stuff already. So you put that on a piece of paper and then you try to answer the questions. So why is this happening this time? Well, I've got a lot of stress going on at work and I'm overly stressed about that. So that's when the strategy part comes in. So you've asked a question, you've now answered it. So then I like to strategize, how can I make that better? Is it maybe putting off some of the tasks that I have onto other coworkers that don't have as much going on so I can alleviate some of that stress? Is it maybe just starting to say no to certain things, which could bring me even more stress? But I think the question, answer, and strategize portion is huge because it helps you get a better understanding of what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and how you can do something about it. What can you do in that situation to make it better after you answer those questions? Because then I feel like what happens is if you're ever in a situation where you're feeling lots of stress, lots of anxiety, intrusive thoughts, and you're not able to focus on a solution because you're so focused on what is happening in that moment, you get trapped in it and you're in this constant spiral battling yourself and all the stresses and all the anxiety that's going on. That when you can put something like this on paper, get it out of your head onto paper, ask the right questions, get those answers, and strategize how to make it better, it's just going to make an overall better experience for you. So I can tell you that I owe a lot to journaling for helping me on my path through stress and anxiety. It hasn't fixed it. Nothing has. I still have it every day. Some days it's worse than others. Some days it's not very bad or noticeable at all. But what it is manageable. Now there's moments that I do lose control of myself and I don't know what to do, but I just have to stop. I take a deep breath and typically will get out a piece of paper, preferably one of my journals that already has all this stuff so that I can keep things going and then notice those trends and patterns so that I can realize in my mind that, okay, this is okay. Here's where we were at before. Here's what worked before. Let's try that again. And if it doesn't work, we'll try something different, because I can tell you right now, I've tried everything possible, from yoga to nature to vitamin B to conversations to journaling. I've tried it all. And the more tools you can have in your arsenal that are going to work for you, the better. So use this. Take it as you will, make it your own. And if you have things that you're already doing that work for you, continue to do those. But if one of the things I mentioned today isn't something you never necessarily thought about or you've already been doing, try it out. See how it goes. Craft it into your own thing, get creative with it, and we'll see how this journey goes. But I hope you got something out of today's video that you can take with you and make your own. And as always, be sure to create something new.